Gen V Season 2 is out in full on Amazon Prime. This is the satire superhero show spinning off of The Boys, the very successful The Boys. 8 episodes, around 40 minutes each. After the last season's cliffhanger, ending with the main characters thrown into this superhero prison asylum, they are now suddenly and inexplicably released and brought back onto the campus of their superhero college, where a new dean, the mysterious Cypher, apparently has plans to train and elevate some of them into even stronger soups, particularly Marie. But the young characters are also contacted by Starlight, who believes that there is some sort of conspiracy at the school behind an old research project called Odessa, which also turns out to involve Marie directly. So I have to say, the first season of this show was a pleasant surprise because I thought it was going to be kind of a cash grab and sort of go against everything that the boys themselves was satirizing at the time. But it managed to be its own distinct thing with interesting new characters and an interesting plot, while still very much keeping in line with the identity of the boys' universe as a whole, which unfortunately leads to a great disappointment in season 2, which is much, much, much worse. I think it's unfocused and messy, moves cluelessly from one plot point to the next without much rhyme or reason, doesn't have solid, clear arcs for the characters, doesn't have a riveting mystery at its heart. The big plot twist played up in episode 7 is completely predictable from very early on, and in fact it leaves the audience questioning why none of the characters has figured this out before. It largely feels like a chore to get through. I was never invested enough to really sort of wonder what's next and care about anything that was happening to the characters. And also, it has to be said, every single episode has at least one moment of extremely graphic nudity or, disgusting stuff like people coming out of other people's ass, which mostly don't serve any narrative purpose and are just there for cheap shock value. And after it was fun the first few times, but after 5 seasons of The Boys and 2 seasons of this, it's gotten old and unfunny now. I get that it's part of the identity of the franchise as a whole, but after a certain point, it's no longer fun. Now, one thing that has to be said is that Chance Perdomo, who played Andre in the first season, suddenly and unexpectedly died before they started making this one, which is a great tragedy. I mean, he seemed like a very bright young man and certainly one of the better actors on the show. And instead of recasting him as one of the main characters, the showrunners decided to have Andre also die off screen in a universe and rewrite the season to accommodate for that, which it's a judgment call. What do you do in that situation? But and for sure that must have been a large factor in why the plot is no longer as tight and the arcs are all out of whack. I get that, but at the end of the day, we have to look at the finished product, and that is simply disappointing. A massive step down from a solid first season. Will there be a third one with a chance to correct course with more time for writing this time? Or will the characters just get folded into the final season of The Boys? I don't know the answer. Time will tell.